homework time. Yes, homework time is here again. Let's go ahead with lesson 18 homework here of module 3. Jot our name down at the top. I will put my name and you put yours. And let's go ahead and take the time to put today's date. I will write today. You write the actual date, where and when you are. Our instructions are for all of this homework, same instructions. Solve using the standard algorithm. Check your quotient and remainder by using multiplication and addition. So here we are. We're just simply dividing. That's it. That's all we have to do tonight. Pretty good, huh? So when we set up 84 divided by 2, the dividend, the number we're dividing, is the 84. And dividing it by 2, that's our divisor, and our quotient will be the answer that goes up top, along with the remainder listed. And so there are many ways to talk about division. The way I prefer to use is to ask the question, how many 2's in 8 is a starting point? And by that we're saying if you were to skip count by 2, or if you were to put things into groups of 2, how many times could you skip count? How many groups could you make? My shorthand way of saying this is how many 2's in 8, which I'm going to employ for this homework because explaining what I'm doing every single time will become tiresome for both you and me. So, how many 2's in 8? 2, 4, 6, 8. There are 4 2's in 8 because 4 times 2 is 8. And when we subtract out those 8 that we have now divided, there's 0 remaining, but we still have 4 to deal with here. We still have to divide these 4. So let's write that down so we can deal with it. How many 2's in 4? 2, 4. Well, there are 2 2's in 4. Why? Because 2 times 2 is 4. And when we subtract that, which we have now divided, we are left with 0. Our remainder is 0. We do not need to write remainder 0. In fact, you shouldn't. So let's go ahead with our check. To make sure we're correct, we will then take our quotient of 42 and multiply it by 2. And we should end up with what we started with, the 84, because we have no remainder to add in on this one. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 4 is 8. It checks out. We can put a little check mark there to feel good about ourselves and move on to number 2. And this time we're dividing that same 84 but by 4. So how many 4's in 8? 4, 8. All right, there are 2 4's in 8. Why? Because 2 times 4 is 8. When we subtract, we are left with 0. We subtract because we've divided up that 8. And then we still have 4 we need to divide here, so we'll write down the 4 so we can work with it. How many 4's in 4? Skip count by 4's. 4. Oh, there we go. There's 1. There's 1 4 in 4 because 1 times 4 is 4. And we'll subtract that because we've divided up those 4. And we are left with 0 to divide again, no remainder. And so to check it now, we just take the 21, our quotient, multiply it by our divisor of 4, and we should end up with the dividend we started with. 4 times 1 is 4, good. And 4 times 2 is 8. And that's what we started with, 84. So check, cha-ching, let's go on. Cruising here, all right. And here we have more division. Yes, if this seems like a lot to you, let me tell you, this is pretty light and easy homework here, honestly. Having, what do we have, like total of 12 division questions to do? Let me tell you, when I was a kid, we had to do 500 division examples every night outside in the snow with no shoes in a tree being chased by wolves on fire. So this is nothing. Okay, so let's go ahead and do number 3. 48 we are dividing by 3. And I'm going to just go on with all the assumptions that when I say how many 3's in 4, you understand what I'm saying and how to do that. So let's kind of boogie on through these assuming you know what you're doing. If you are confused, you need to go back a few lessons and do some review. So how many 3's in 4? Well, we skip count by 3's. 3, well, that's it, right? So there's 1. There's 1 3 in 4 because 1 times 3 is 3. We subtract out those 3 we've divided, and we are left with 1 in the tens place. But we still have this 8 in the ones place to deal with. So let's put it here so we can actually divide it with the 1 in the tens place. So now we're asking how many 3's in 18. And this is the step where students often get confused. They'll do the subtraction and then say, well, what do I do? So we now have to deal with the 8 1's along with the 110. So how many 3's in 18? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Oh, okay, so there are 6 3's in 18 because 6 times 3 indeed is 18. So when you subtract out those 18 we've now divided, you are left with 0. So a remainder of 0 we do not need to write, of course. And so we know we'll have a simple one-step check where we take our quotient of 16 and multiply it by 3. We should get our dividend of 48. Let's see if we do. 3 times 6 is 18. Regroup that 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. Yes, we got 48. Should check. Good. Let's go on. So now we're doing 80 divided by 5. How many 5's in 8? 5. Okay, so yeah, there's 1 again. So 1 times 5 is 5. We subtract out what we've divided so far, and that leaves us with 3 in the tens place. And this is again where students often get confused and say, what do I do now? We have a 3 in the tens place, and we have, we can't ignore this just because it's a 0. 0's a number. All right, we have to work with it just like any other number. So we have a 0 in the ones place. Okay, so going back to our boxes of donuts, this is 8 boxes of 10 donuts, right? 8 times 10, it's 80. So we handed out to those 5 people, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Everybody got a box of 10 donuts. Now I have 3 boxes of 10 donuts. So I have 30 donuts remaining. And I have to open up those boxes because I can't just hand out boxes. I have 3 boxes and 5 people. See, here's the 3 boxes. I handed out 50 donuts, 5 boxes of 10, 5 in the tens place. And that's why I, quote unquote, bring down the 0. Because I have 3 boxes of 10 donuts, and I have to open up those boxes. So when we bring down the 0, you can think of it as I'm opening up those boxes of 10 donuts. And now I have 30 donuts that I can easily hand out to 5 people. Because just having the 3 boxes of 10 doesn't help me. If those boxes are sealed up, I can't do anything because I have 5 people. So I have to open up the boxes. So we're decomposing the 3 10s as 31s is what we're doing when we bring down the 0. Because you will hear people say, bring down the 0. But that's why. That's what we're doing. Donuts. All right, so how many 5's in 30? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. There are 6. Because 6 times 5 is, yes, 30. So we've handed out all the donuts to our 5 good friends. They're so happy. We have no donuts left. So we know we should have a nice one-step check here. 16, our quotient, multiplied by our divisor of 5. And the reason we're multiplying those numbers, say, hey, we gave 5 people 16 donuts each. Can we account for all 80 donuts that we started with before you start eating? Let's see. 5 times 6 is 30. Place a 0. Regroup the 3. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. We've accounted for all 80 donuts. Check. It's right. Now we know we're going to have a remainder on the next one because we just did 80 divided by 5 and it came out evenly with no remainder. So of course 79 divided by 5 will have a remainder. I bet you can even predict, I won't say it, but I bet you can predict what our remainder will be before we even divide. Can you predict it? Okay, we'll see if you're right. All right, so how many 5's in 7? 5, okay, just 1. So 1 5 and 7, and because 1 times 5 is 5, when I subtract 7 minus 5, I of course get 2. So again, just briefly on the donuts, those 7 boxes of 10 donuts, I hand everybody 1 each. I've handed out 50 donuts, 5 boxes of 10. That leaves 2 boxes of 10, which I now need to open up and combine with the 9 loose donuts. That's why I'm bringing down the 9. I have 29 loose donuts now. I have 29 ones. So how many 5s in 29? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. There are 5. Very good. Because 5 times 5 is, yes, 25. And when we subtract, we are left with 4 loose donuts, which obviously we have nothing more to divide. We just have 4 donuts, 4 ones, and we have 5 people. So we know when we go to, we'll write down our remainder 4. When we go to do our check, we'll have a 2-step check. So let's do that. 15, they got 15 donuts each, those 5 people. That's why I'm multiplying these. So 5 times 5 is 25. Place the 5, regroup the 2 in the tens place. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Now 75, but I have those 4 leftover donuts as well. So to do a complete check, I have to take those into account. Make sure all the donuts are counted before anyone takes a bite. 4 plus 5 is 9, and then 7, 79, 79. Excellent. Should check. And now 91 divided by 4. I bet you can look at that and guess whether or not we'll have a remainder as well. Is there kind of a clue in that number? Can you think of any number that's a multiple of 4 that ends in a 1? I'll give you a skip count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Notice they all end with 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. None of them end with odd numbers, do they? So most likely 91 is going to have a remainder. That's kind of little logical estimation of sorts you can do to say, I don't think this is evenly divisible by 4. You might turn out to be wrong in those estimations, but just give yourself some logical thinking before you dive in. So how many 4s in 9? 4, 8, okay, there are 2, because 2 times 4 is 8. We've handed out 8 of those 10 packs of donuts, leaving us with 1 10-pack of donuts, which we need to open up and combine with the 1 loose donut. That's why I bring down the 1. So I'm opening up that box of donuts, so I now have 11 donuts. So how many 4s in 11? 4, 8, well 12 would be too much, so there again there's just 2, because 2 times 4 is 8. We subtract out those donuts we've handed out, and we are left with 3 donuts, and we have 4 people, so we can't hand them out. So we have a leftover, we have a remainder of 3. Now to check it, we know with that remainder we're going to have a 2-step check, so it'll be the 22 donuts we handed out to 4 people, and then we have to add in the 3 leftover, right? So 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 2 is 8, and then those 88 donuts we handed out plus the 3 that are left over should give us an accounting for the donuts we started with. 8 and 3 is 11, regroup the 1, 1 and 8 are 9, 91 is what we started with. Checkaroo, and let's roll on, roll on, roll on. And look, shocking, more division. Let's do it. All right, so now we have 91 divided by 6. So 91 divided by 6. Let's go right through this. How many 6 and 9? 6. Okay, there's 1. So 1 times 6 is 6. We subtract out what we've divided, and that leaves us with 3 boxes of donuts we're going to open up and combine with the 1 loose donut. So now we have 31 ones. We have 31 donuts. How many 6s in 31? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Okay, so there are 5 6s in 31, because 5 times 6, we just figured, is 30. So now we've handed out 30 of those loose donuts, leaving us with just 1 donut left over, and that would be our remainder. And so we know we'll have a two-step check here. We take the 15 donuts that we handed out to 6 people. And so we handed out a total of, well, let's see, 6 times 5 is 30. Regroup that 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. That's 90. And then we had, with that 90 we handed out, we had a remainder of 1. So that accounts for all 91 donuts. Should check it's good. Now here again we're doing 91 divided by, but this time by 7. Boy, do you think that'll be even? Because 6 wasn't, and there was a remainder of 1, but 7 is 1 more than 6. It doesn't look like it'll come out even, because 91 is kind of a funky number, but it would stand to reason. All right, well, let's see what happens. Okay. All right, 91 divided by 7. All right, well, how many 7s in 9? 7. Okay, there we go, done. There is 1 7 in 9, because 1 times 7 is 7. We subtract out those 7 boxes of 10 donuts we handed out. That leaves us with 2 boxes of 10 donuts. We're going to open up and combine with that 1 loose donut. So now we have 21 loose donuts. How many 7s in 21? Ah, there it is. 7, 14, 21. There are 3 7s in 21, because 3 times 7 indeed is 21. So we subtract, we've handed out all the donuts. We have no remainder. Isn't that interesting? Did you see that coming? Yeah, okay, you did. All right, so 13 to do our check. We have a one-step check here. 13 times 7 should give us the 91, but we're not just going to write 91. We'll actually do the multiplication. 7 times 3 is 21. Place the 1, regroup the 2. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 2 is 9. Indeed, we got the 91 we started with. To check, it's good. Now we have 87 divided by 3. That kind of looks like it's going to have a remainder, huh? Because can you think of any number that ends in a 7 that's evenly divisible by 3? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. Oh, well, maybe it's possible then, because 27. So there are numbers that end in 7 that are evenly divisible by 3. So this one could be even, could have a remainder. We're not sure. Let's find out. So how many 3s in 8? 3, 6. Okay, there are 2 3s in 8, because 2 times 3 is 6. We subtract out those 6 boxes of 10 donuts, leaves us with 2 boxes of 10 donuts. And because we have 3 people, we have to open up those boxes and with those 20 donuts and combine it with the 7 loose donuts we have. So how many 3s in 27? See what happened? So we know our facts. I'm not going to skip count. We know that 3 times 9 is 27, right? So there are 9 3s in 27, because 9 times 3 is 27. We subtract, we are left with 0 donuts. It worked out evenly. So 29 times 3 then should give us 87, but we're not going to just write 87, we're going to figure it. 3 times 9, we just said, is 27. Place a 7, regroup the 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 87, got what we to checkaroo. Now we're doing 87 divided by 6, and you think on this one, though, you say, this is looking pretty remainder-ish, because 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Scanning through there, I don't see any multiples of 6 ending with a 7. This does not look like it's going to come out evenly. In fact, if you know your divisibility rules, you know that it's definitely not, because it would at least need to be an even number, evenly divisible by 2. So we're pretty well assured we're looking at a remainder here. Just a good thing to think through before you start. So dividing 87 by 6. How many 6s in 8? 6. Okay, there's 1, because 1 times 6 is 6. So what we just did was we handed out 6 10-packs of donuts, and that leaves us with 2 boxes of 10 donuts, which we now need to open up, because we have these 2 sealed boxes and 6 hungry people. And so we open up the boxes, and we combine those 20 donuts with the 7 donuts that are already loose running around the room. And we say, okay, now we can hand these out. 6, 12, 18, 24. There we go. So there are 4 6s in 27 because 4 times 6 is 24. Make sure you don't write 27 there blindly. Actually think it out. We handed out 24 donuts now. That leaves us with 3 donuts left over. Sure enough, to our prediction, we have a remainder. So we know we have a 2-step check process here. We'll take the 14 donuts each of the 6 people got, multiply that out, and then we'll add in our remainder. So 6 times 4, 24, good. Place that to 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 84. But wait, we're not done. We'll take those 84 donuts we handed out and add to it the 3 leftovers, and yes, then we get the 87 we needed that we started with. All the donuts are accounted for. Go on and start eating your donuts while we move on to the last 2 examples. All right, 11 and 12, I don't think we can make solid predictions just in a quick glance on whether or not we'll have remainders, because we know there are multiples of 8 that end in 4 and multiples of 6 that end in 4. So possible these could be even or not. We'll see. Okay, so we have 94 divided by 8. So how many 8s in 9? 8. There's 1. Okay. Because 1 times 8 is 8. So again, that's like we've handed out 8 of the 9 10-packs of donuts. And I'm saying 10 packs of donuts because we're in the tens place here, right? And we subtract those 8 we've handed out. We have 1 10-pack of donut, but we have 8 people. So we need to open up that box. Oh, and we have these 4 loose donuts as well. That's why we put those together. We've opened it up, so now we have 14 loose donuts and 8 people. We can start handing out donuts again. So how many do they get each? 8. Well, we can't go to 16, right? So there's 1 each. 1 times 8 is 8. And when we subtract, you know your facts, we get what? That's right, 6. So we have 6 leftover donuts, but 8 people. So no more donuts for you. Those go in the donut bin. So to do our check, we know we'll have a 2-step check. 11 donuts for 8 people. We handed out, you know those. Those are easy, those 11s, right? 88 donuts. And with those 88 we handed out, we have 6 left over. That should tell us what we started with. 8 and 6 are 14. We group the 1. 1 and 8 are 9. 94. Chick. It's good. That look more like a check. Yeah, okay. So now 94 divided by 6. It kind of looks like you can get a sense that we might have a remainder again, huh? What do you think? Or maybe not. What do you think? I think so, because we had a remainder of 6 over here, and this is 2 away from 8. Well, let's see. Okay. 94 divided by 6. How many 6s in 9? 6. Okay, there's 1. Because 1 times 6 is 6. And so we handed out, of those 9 10-packs of donuts, we handed out 6 of those 10 packs, leaving 3 10-packs of donuts. With 6 people, we have to open up those boxes. So now we're talking about 30 donuts with the 4 that were already running loose. So how many 6s in 34? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. There are 5, because 5 times 6 is, right, 30. We subtract, and we are left with 4 loose donuts. But with 6 people, we are done handing out donuts. Those are just leftovers, remainder of 4. We know we'll have a 2-step check. 15 donuts handed out to 6 people. Let's see. 6 times 5 is 30. Place a 0, regroup 3. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. Good. And so the 90 donuts we handed out with the 4 that are left over account for all 94 donuts we started with. Checkaroonie, and you gone and done it again. Look at that. Completed another homework time. So I'll see you next time. It is once again homework time.